Said I could only babysit on Sundays because that's my only day off. I would only do it if they paid me $30 and included pre-packed lunches, dinners, and snacks for my siblings because I wasn't going to waste my money providing food for them. That's not my job. And if they took anything from me, like when my Switch was stolen last time, I would get the police involved to get it back. I saved the receipt when I bought it, and documented the serial number so I'd have no problem proving to the police it's mine. My mom's beach mode kicked in and she started swearing like a sailor that had just broken a tooth. I let her have her rant while pretty much ignoring the phone until she realized I wasn't responding and started demanding I say something. So I said that she and dad have my conditions. Sundays only, $30 and prepackaged food, or they could F off. There was a moment of silence on the line, and then my mom went off on me again and said that my younger siblings who are 14 and 15 had to step up to help because I wasn't helping anymore, and they needed a break. I laughed and said, "Oh, like how you guys gave me breaks?" Like never. My mom tried to say that was different, and it was because I was the oldest child. I noted that it wasn't different. They parentified me and I lost out on a bunch of my childhood because of it, and now I'm living my own life without them. And they are hypocrites to act like I should step up again when I'm no longer living there and they have two teenagers in the house that can do everything I used to do. My mom shifted into victim mode and started saying that my teenage siblings were rebelling and not listening to them. I told them bitching and moaning wasn't my problem. They need to figure out alternative child care. I'm too busy with having a life. Then I hung up. It was right back to radio silent for about a while. Then one Saturday morning a few weeks later I was getting ready for work when there was a sudden loud and fast knock at my door. The kind where you know they're doing it with both hands. My mom's done that for years as her knocking trademark to let me know she was there, and she knows I know the sound of it very well. And the knocking was followed by what sounded like someone loudly running down the corridor. I listened through the door and could hear my two youngest siblings bickering with each other and tapping on the door themselves. My mother just left them outside the door and ran. I just opened my window, climbed out, and simply walked away. My apartment is on the ground level all the way to the end of the building, and I can climb out the window I have there easily by just pulling the screen out. I called one of my neighbors who lives a few doors down. She's a sweet old lady who likes kids, and I gave her the rundown. She's known about my situation with my narcissistic parents for a while now and called the police for me to tell them that there were two kids left abandoned in the hall after the mother pounded on a door and took off. Suffice it to say, the police came and picked up my siblings. My parents called me later and were furious. I pretended to be clueless and asked what they were so mad about. My mom fully admitted she left my two youngest siblings at my door for me to babysit and ran. I wondered if she just left them there without anyone answering the door, because I was already out since I had to work Saturdays. My mom just got really quiet for a few seconds, then yelled how the hell was I supposed to know that. I countered that this was all her fault, and she literally abandoned her kids at my door in the hopes that maybe I was home, on a day I'd already told her several times I worked. Like she was trying to force me to skip a shift by trying to give me no choice but to watch them. She started making excuses, but I told her what she did was inexcusable and immature. She ended up crying, and I just let that go on for a while before asking if she was done yet. She went back into beach mode and yelled at me the police were charging her with child abandonment. I said that wasn't really my fault since she left the kids in the hall. Then said I would have called the police on her as well if I was home, and she refused to come back for the kids. My mom somehow ended up getting off with just a slap on the wrist and a fine because she somehow convinced the cops that she honestly thought I was home and would babysit, or so my next sibling said when he texted me. After that, things boiled over on Thanksgiving. My parents invited me over, and I was fully expecting it to be some kind of trap. And it was. At dinner, my dad just sat at the table smoking a cigarette and acting like he was in charge. He had my mom sit me down and then said enough was enough, and he was ending this farce. He told me that I needed to move my butt back home and pay rent to help with their mortgage and bills, as well as help parent my siblings because they don't have any time to themselves anymore, and the fine my mom had to pay hit their finances hard. I just said no, plain and simple, and I kept that up no matter how much he tried to order me. He ended up getting so angry that he actually attacked me, and he's not a small man. I thankfully am not either, as I've been hitting the gym for months, and learned some amateur fighting. I had my steel-toed boots on as well, so I gave him a swift kick in the balls when he came at me, then punched him hard enough in the face that he was down on the floor in an instant. He landed with quite a thud and even threw up because of the pain while clutching his goodie bag. Then I told my parents that I had my phone recording in my pocket the whole time, and I could easily prove he attacked me first. My dad told me to get out of his house and never come back, and I obliged, but not before taking a turkey leg off the platter and riding home with it to eat. Since then only my siblings have called or texted me. They said that I'd walked out like a boss, and there are now running jokes in the house about dad's poor ball.